Hello and welcome to the News9 Plus show on the world's first news and current affairs OTT platform, News9 Plus. The Indian Army's Agniveer scheme is in the news once again. Two key BJP allies, the JDU and Chirag Paswan of the Lok Janshakti Party, have questioned the Agniveer plan and have asked the government to revisit it. Now, the Agnipath scheme was launched in 2022 to bring down the age profile of all three services. And of course, in the longer term, the pension bill. Soldiers were recruited for 4 years, after which 25% of them were to be retained and others given a financial handshake. The recruits, called Agniveers, were from the age group of 17.5 to 21 years. Now, this scheme had triggered off violent protests with opposition leaders questioning its short-term utility, this short-term recruitment plan. So what is the way ahead and what can the government do or should do? We have four big questions. Should the scheme be scrapped? Will it be modified? How to handle surging defense pensions? And can wars be fought using short-term soldiers? Joining me to discuss this are General Vinod Bhatia and Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma. And in the studio, my colleague Aditya Raj Kaul. Gentlemen, welcome to the News9 Plus show. I want to start with you, General Bhatia. Should the Agniveer scheme be scrapped? And if so, why?
A very simple and a plain answer, a very pragmatic one is please shelve it.
Right.
I'll give you the reasons why. The Indian Army is the recruitment pattern, the soldiers, the way our structure and organization are there. We are a tried, tested, proven, successful army. Right. We have delivered ever since 1947 and beyond in every operation, including the 1962 so-called debacle. And I quote the Time magazine, which said, after covering the 62 war, the Indian Army lacks everything except courage. Right? So we had a tried system, proven system. We had done well in war, 71 war, 65 war. The improbable 99 Kargil war, when we started 25 years now, no one can ever imagine recapturing those heights. We have small served out there. Sharma, the co-commander there, I've served out there in those posts. And we have proven ourselves in counter-terrorist operations everywhere. And we have definite threats. We have defined threats, unsettled borders. And we are transforming, we are carrying out major transformation or trying to carry out major transformations in terms of integrated theatre command, in terms of joint venture, in terms of Atmanirbharta, in terms of technology, imbibing technology, exploring technology. And with all this, the major strength which we had was our soldiers.
Right.
Let me say that the Indian Armed Forces soldiers, sailors, air warriors cost the minimum and deliver the maximum. So let's put it very bluntly. And that was our strength all along. No, it's very easy to say budget. No one ever spoke of the budget, but yes, you're right. It's the budget which is, the pension bill which is defining it. But we have to understand the difference between the cost of money and the value of money. Right. The cost of money is the cost of money. That is the figures.
Right. Well made points, General Bhatia. I'm just going to bring in General Rakesh Sharma on this. General Sharma, the cost of money versus the value of money, and of course the underlying factor in the Agniveer scheme is the burgeoning pension bill, which the government wants to reduce. Do you agree with the fact that what General Bhatia just mentioned, that this scheme needs to be scrapped or shelved or modified, or should it continue the way it is?
So Sandeep, at this juncture, thank you for inviting me. Let me put it a very difficult question and very difficult to proceed ahead after General Bhatia has given its considered views. The fact is that our armed forces are a matter of employment for people of the country.
Right.
And are we a social engine for the nation? Now, that's Pakistan Army. They're a social engine for the nation.
Right.
The armed forces, the army especially, is not meant as an employment scheme.
Right.
How many people do we take from Bihar totally in a year? Say 3,000 people.
Yes.
What's the total unemployment in Bihar?
Right.
It's about 19% as per CMI data. So the armed forces are not, even if you scrap the Agnipath scheme, it does not politically or socially help out the distress of unemployment in whether Uttar Pradesh or Rajasthan or the matter of Bihar. So then that's a one factor story. It doesn't help at all. The total matter is about 40,000 odd people.
Yes.
Second part is that armed forces are a finite number.
Yes.
You know the borders. You've been covering the armed forces for last 30 years.
Yes.
Now, we have a finite numbers. We require this quantum of force to defend the northern border, this quantum of force to defend the Pakistan border, and
Yes.
what reserves we have. So we have a finite numbers. Then finite numbers cannot be enhanced.
Right.
Because there is, when say the Air Force might say 42 squadrons, but they have 32 and they're managing all right.
Yes. Yes.
Having said that, there is a basis of structural issues of the armed forces. Will, as I, a corps commander, or General Bhatia, as 33 corps commander, will accept any shortfall in manpower or manpower which is poorly trained? No. We will make a noise right to the roof saying that I can't defend my area if you don't give me the correct manpower to do my job. That's the way of it. Now, Agnipath scheme, as it was formulated, there were lacuna, and we all, including General Bhatia, were invited number of times
Yes.
For discussions with the establishment. I mean, I would say establishment, the armed forces, chiefs in attendance, and we did not mince any words. The veterans, about 200-300 of us, and we said that the scheme needs to be tweaked.
Right. Right.
Because of the aspirational nature of a society.
Absolutely. General Sharma, please hold your thoughts. I'm just going to bring in Aditya in on this. And the next point, what you just mentioned, I'm just going to come back to you on that, the tweaks in the scheme. But Aditya, we just saw Prime Minister Modi in the meeting with the NDA today. All the allies, and it's an NDA government now, it's not a BJP majority anymore. What is the kind of pulls and pressures on the government at the moment, given the fact that all the states that General Sharma mentioned, very critical to the BJP, Bihar, Haryana, Rajasthan, all of this. Tell us what the government is going through now, or the nascent NDA government is going through right now.
Sandeep, this will be the first time that Narendra Modi would be heading a coalition government.
Yes.
And coalition dharma really involves taking along all your partners together and to keep them happy.
Yes.
From the bonhomie that you saw inside the the Samvidhan Sadan, old parliament, you could see Nitish Kumar touching his feet, Prime Minister's feet. You could see Chandrababu Naidu cracking a joke with Narendra Modi, and together they are going to the Rashtrapati Bhavan.
Yes.
This may be to show to the world that they are together and there is unity within the NDA.
Yes.
But having said that, the JDU and of course Chirag Paswan's LJP have made this categorically clear that there needs to be a review of the Agnipath scheme, of the Agniveers scheme, because there has been a growing resentment. But I concur with General Bhatia when he says that there has to be a review, there has to be, of course, things need to be put in place. But I completely agree with General Sharma here that Agnipath was a reform that was required. There was an overburdening of finances that was there. The Indian Army, the Indian military is not a job scheme. It is something different from the mainstream here in India. And of course, if there is a review, of course, there are these lacuna in the sense that the percentage is less. The percentage could be increased. There could be more, not just the paramilitary, but other government bodies, PSUs and private sector coming in to recruit the Agniveers after their tenure really ends.
And you give them some kind of job security after they leave the armed force. But here's the point here, Lieutenant General Bhatia, what will the modified Agniveer scheme look like? The government has said that they are open to reviewing it, but about after 5 or 6 years, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also mentioned this point. Now, it's quite possible they could modify the scheme. There could be some tweaks in it. What do you think would be the likely tweaks that the government could bring into the scheme to keep everyone happy, including their alliance partners, and of course, sections of the ex-serviceman community who expressed their opinion on this numerous occasions?
Sandeep, there are two aspects. One is individual aspirations.
Yes.
At the time of recruitment and beyond.
Yes.
And second, organizational effectiveness.
Right.
Both have to have congruence. Okay. If we have to have congruence between the two, I do not know tweaking. What you can tweak is 25% to 50% selection, 50% 70% selection. But the armed forces, intangibles have to be seen. It is not the tangibles that count. You have to see the intangibles. How does a section, a platoon, a gun detachment, a submarine, a crew function? We carry our colleagues along. If someone is not well today, someone is sick today, someone is not feeling too bright, we carry him along. okay, we function as a team, we attack as a team, the strength is the weakest link. Yes. Tomorrow when you have Agniveer, whatever percentage they are, 70% is of course just not acceptable. But whatever percentage you have, I will still buy. My need is to get into the army as a career.
Yes.
So I will now compete with my own gun detachment, with my own section. What do? I will not help him. I will let him down. So we have to understand the team building. We have to understand the ethos of the army, the very core values of the army. So that we are not understanding. So my point is that you have not tested it. You have not had a pilot project. This is forced on. We, in any case, if you look at our armed forces, you can't have a man with 3.5 to 4 years service trying to repair an aircraft, trying to repair a ship, trying to be part of a section, attacking I just heard you this thing, last mile connectivity.
Yes.
It is the last, not that matter.
Right.
It's about the last 200 yards. You can get there, but not get there still. Someone, they'll mange more. Captain Vikram Batra, Major Vikram Batra.
Yes.
But that is the spirit. That's the spirit of the army and the armed forces we're talking about. Are the Agniveers will be risk averse? Let me also put one more point. Post Galwan, you know what Galwan? It was the immediate retaliation, effective retaliation at the cost of lives by Colonel Santosh Babu, 19 men who laid down their lives. That we have had no escalation whatsoever along the line of actual control. Right? Why was that? Because our soldiers were motivated, they were trained, and they were willing to sacrifice their life for the territorial integrity of the nation. Like General Sharma rightly put it, territorial integrity is very important. As Corps Commander, we should certificate that territorial integrity is ensured. No, that is a certificate everyone has signed on coming to Corps Commander. I would like the resource with it. Now, if I have Agniveers and they're neither soldiers, their status is not known, they're risk averse, and after Galwan, the PLA has gone and raised full body unit permanent cadre. Why did we beat them so badly? Because they were conscripts. They come for a 2-year service. Vietnam, we have not learned our lessons. We should never even try this because it is not only a career, it is a way of life. When a rejected man will go back, whatever part to the village will tell him, "Tum to fail hoke aa gaye, wahan se reject hoke aa gaye." He has lost his self-esteem. Are we looking at individual aspirations? I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work out. But yes, if you have to modify it, please make it worthwhile for organizational effectiveness and meet the individual aspirations. 75-25, and those 25 get into nearly assured jobs, which are to their status and to the worth, and soldier status. Not a security secretary outside a bank or something. That's all they have. Today also, how much of public sector or private sector employs ex-servicemen? The amount of requests which me gets and Jen Sharma gets, General Sahab ban gaye, hamari madad karo, hamare bachche ko madad karo. It is quite disheartening. There's no places. And there's aspirations join the army. That has to be met.
Right.
We have 5th generation soldiers, 6th generation soldiers. So that sort of a thing will not be there anymore.
General Sharma, how do you see the government, the defense ministry tweaking this scheme? General Bhatia has made some very powerful remarks on, the ethos of the army and the need to meet individual career aspirations. How do you, strike a balance between this and, of course, the larger political questions that Aditya was mentioning on placating your allies, for whom, the soldiers, villages, rural areas from where they come from are very powerful constituencies?
My logic is different. My logic is that we need to discuss the armed forces threadbare. It's not Agnipath scheme. We are riding a small horse, a mule. The fact is that what is the establishment you require to fight in future? Are you correctly entitled and you're holding that establishment? Are you planning and preparing for the right kind of wars? Somebody says the 4th aircraft carrier. Somebody says 42 squadrons of the Air Force. And we say 13, 14 corps and we are raising one more division. So, there is something not right in the whole systemic. Let's resolve the issues of what is required in the armed forces before talking Agniveer. We are talking about mounting one small portion of it of an HR policy without resolving it. Now, from 10 years or even longer, the defense budget has not increased beyond 2% of GDP, of which 0.5% goes towards pensions. That makes it 1.5%. The total amount that the army gets for modernization is not even 30,000 crores. And How do you manage the modernization of against an adversary which is asymmetrically larger? So, why do we talk Agnipath scheme? Because the political hierarchy is enamored about it, saying that it should be removed, and the armed forces are saying we need cohesion. But we say, okay, we will remove the Agnipath scheme, but you will not get any future budget. And tomorrow, lo and behold, they'll say armed forces will get NPS like anybody else. No, even the Seventh Pay Commission was pushing the NPS for the armed forces. The new pension scheme means no pension at all. It was fought in the times of 7th CPC that no, we can't survive. How would you manage the armed forces without pensions? Yeah? Because the whole cohesion, the whole lifetime of a soldier and the family depends on this one. But the fact is, if we say we pursue one end of it and the other end they put the NPS in, that will be again a greatly negative step. So the question is, it is not Agnipath scheme. It is armed forces per se. The total gamut of it has to be examined. And if you have to tweak the Agnipath scheme, remove it, then increase the defense budget to 2.5% of GDP and say we accept the pension budget and we accept the salary budget and we do modernization. We will prepare because we have two adversaries of this kind and then manage it. So if you can't have two ends meet, you can't have adversaries 4,000 kilometers up north and 1,000 kilometers of line of control, which is actually manned 24/7. So how do you do this here? You can't have two and two together. So if you want to do Agnipath scheme, well, Agnipath scheme has to be managed in a manner. If I require 40,000 people, I will recruit 60,000. Let 20,000 go out and let me retain 40,000. I mean, if you want to say people go out, I will see even today they're saying with 25% of the retention, 25% is being assured in one form or the other. This is what I gathered from the ground, which is from, of course, many of these jobs may not be worth it, but banking sector or the DSC or many other places. If we say we retain 50%, we have 25% assured commitment outside, I think that would suffice it to say that, okay, 75% of the people who join are adjusted. The social and the political requirement will be upheld. But it does not resolve the issues of the armed forces. What is the quantum? We did not allow the 17 core to be fully raised. We stopped it in between. Now we are raising it again because the Chinese have reared the head. That means our whole planning process is required to be rethought about it as to what are we raising and what is the quantum of finite force required and what is the kind of modernization required against an adversary which is asymmetrically much larger. So, we are just taking a narrow issue and blowing it apart without taking the whole thing together.
Narrow issue, and we are, looking at, we are missing the wood for the trees, if I could put it that way, as General Sharma mentioned. General Bhatia, but how do you handle the surging defense pension bill? I mean, there is one estimate which says that India spends double that of Pakistan's defense budget only on military pensions, and this is only set to grow. Is it by increasing the defense budget, or is it by, how do you reduce the pension, liability on the government of India?
Let me put in a broader perspective. Let me say, the need is to optimize the defense expenditure and enhance the combat effectiveness. Right? Yes. Defense prepared. Armed forces not meant to fight wars. We were meant to ensure peace. Ensure peace from a position of strength. Okay. If you are weak, you will invite wars. To that, there should be no doubt. So, how to optimize defense expenditure? Organizations. Are you aware that there are 600,000 non-uniformed employees paid out of the defense budget who served till the age of 60? In 27 organizations that lead the Ministry of Defense. Why are you not looking at them? Can we cut them out? Can we outsource those? Can we reduce them? Can we make them more cost effective? We are only looking at pensions because that is the narrative. Please look at pensions. I'm not saying don't look at pensions, but also look at the deliverance. What are we getting out of that's what I said. I started my first sentence. The value of money and cost of, the cost of money versus value of money. 600,000 employees paid out of the defense budget. No one looks at them. 27 organizations. There was a Shiketka committee. I was part of the Shiketka committee 208 recommendations on how to enhance the defense, optimize the defense expenditure, enhance combat effectiveness. At least, okay, all 208 may not be implementable, but at least implement the major issues where we save some monies. Just looking at defense pensions may not be the right answer. You look at the holistic thing. That's what General Sharma is trying to say. Look at the whole thing. Look at your national security. It's a package. You can't have a man coming in and only yesterday I met an old colleague of mine and someone from his village, Agniveer, had expired. He said, "Sir, usko kuch nahi mila, uski family ko kuch nahi mila, usko shaheed ka darja nahi mila." There's so many cribs. This is going to happen. So no one is happy. That's what I'm saying. Individual aspirations are not being met. Organized needs are not being met. So why are we having this scheme at all? There's a time to review the scheme. And if you can't review it in totality for whatever reasons, please ensure that it is actually made more cost effective for everyone.
Right. General Sharma,
please look at everything.
The issue of defense pensions keeps coming up every now and then. The Agnipath scheme was meant to reduce the defense pensions over time, 10 years, 15 years. What is the option?
If you look at the Agnipath scheme and we briefed, the pensions were not discussed at all. It was said pensions got nothing to do with it.
Right. Do you agree with that, General Sharma? And if so, what do you need to do to reduce defense pensions? Is there any other alternative?
No, I draw pension from the Indian government here. I won't like to discuss options here. The fact of the matter is that the pension is a right worldwide, globally, it's a right to take pension. And when we drew the Agnipath scheme, probably we copied models from countries which have different requirements altogether. They don't fight on their own borders deployed the way we are. So, the models that we selected were not probably the right ones on which the scheme was based on. Now, to answer the question, pensions, see, the pension is a very major issue, and it's an entitlement which, even after the CAPF lost their case, it has yet not been implemented. The NPS for the CAPF has yet not been implemented. So the question is that, it is one of the most important aspects about is pensions. Now, we need to manage it. We need to manage it better. And I don't think it is possible for us to tweak anything of pension. The NPS will be, if you minute to put NPS into it, it will be even more disadvantageous than having the Agnipath scheme, which can be tweaked. And I would say that, what advantage has taken place is that last month or so, the impact assessment has been ordered by the Army from all stakeholders, including the Agnipath people. And, I think, it matters a lot to say that there is an impact assessment. We just take the first 4 years, which finish in 2027 as a pilot project. Now, if the impact assessment comes out by later part of this year, we will implement, we should have positive recommendations to how adjust to the Agnipath scheme in the same format in the course of next 2 years. Finish the pilot project, 2027, the next cycle start, we have a new version of Agnipath scheme been put across. That gives us 2 years to think, or 2.5 years to think out as which is the best model to do so. And the second part is that, we must reevaluate the operational requirement. What is the threat pattern in times to come, which means that do we require the quantum of force that we have, or we require more? Because, we curtailed the intake in the COVID times and subsequently in the Agnipath scheme, while at the same time 2020 happened. Till 2020, and I was commanding the corps, and General Bhatia commanded the corps in even difficult areas in Sikkim. We were managing it better, but suddenly the surge has been so tremendous all along the borders that you know that you cannot manage an adversary without holding it at the end, the tail end of the area, because he will come and occupy it. So there is a cultural shift to the armed forces in the last 4 years. Now, the last 4 years cultural shift, maybe the Agnipath scheme came in at an inopportune time, especially when the Chinese were already knocking at the door. Now, there is pragmatism. You understand that the whole concept of northern defenses along the northern and offensives along the northern, and the kind of asymmetric force that the adversary has changed in 4 years, especially in the Tibet area and the southern Xinjiang region. we need to retweak the whole system. Now, if we are growing at that pace, then we need to grow at the pace of the armed forces defense budgets, also in conformity with what is actual on ground. You can't say we have the same 2% in 2019 and you have the same 2% in 2024 and manage an adversary which actually didn't exist until 2020 in that model. That's the issue. It's not a question of pension. It's not a question of Agnipath. It's the whole book that has to be rewritten. Blank paper, thought leaders, rewrite the book as General Bhatia and General Shekatkar committee thought about every facet of it. Let's get down to it, because when General Bhatia and General Shekatkar did the whole exercise, China, we were basking in the glory of 6 treaties and whole lot of 14 interaction of the principals and the foreign ministers meeting often and 25 meetings of WMCC. There was some warmth in the relationship with China. All that has been jettisoned in last 4 years. So now we need to rethink the whole the capsule of what we need to do.
We need to rethink the whole capsule of what we need to do. Rewrite the book, Aditya, as General Sharma so aptly put it. The fact that the Agnipath scheme was needed, it was the need of the hour. Divergent views coming out from General Bhatia and General Sharma, but they both agree on one thing, that the fact is that the timing of the scheme came at a time when our 4,000 kilometer northern frontier suddenly opened up. You were there recently at Ladakh, and it's possibly something that the government will be doing very soon, relooking at the Agnipath scheme and the Agniveers soldiers, the weekend warriors, the tour of duty soldiers. That whole scheme needs to be relooked at. That's one thing that our experts can agree on. But thank you very much for joining us, General Bhatia, General Sharma, and of course, Aditya Raj Kaul. We'll be tracking this story very closely. On the 18th of May, BJP President JP Nadda said the BJP didn't need the RSS. He said, and I quote, "We were less capable in the beginning and needed the RSS. Today we have grown and are more capable. The BJP now runs itself," Nadda said in the middle of the elections. Now, this was on the 18th of May, bang in the middle of the elections. And most of the seats lost by the BJP are in eastern Uttar Pradesh, which went to the polls after the statement. Did JP Nadda's comments bring out the discord between the BJP and the RSS? To discuss this, I have with me this evening RSS member Ratan Sharda, and in the studio, my colleague Brijesh Pandey. Shardaji, I want to start by asking you, this comment by the BJP president, Mr. Nadda, in the middle of the elections, does it highlight some kind of discord between the RSS and the BJP, or is it a scenario where the child is telling the parent that, look, I'm grown up enough, I don't need, the joint family anymore, I'm capable of looking after myself?
Actually, this statement seems to be quite distorted the way it has been presented.
Right.
I have said similar things earlier on when I said that those organizations who have grown very big from, which have come out of RSS inspiration,
yes,
and they have their own cadre, their own leaders, their own pracharas, etc. And RSS beyond that can only be a good friend and good cooperating organization, because the child, as you said, has grown.
Right.
But this particular statement, maybe it needed a little more finesse so that during elections, the RSS swayamsevaks on the field don't take it otherwise.
Right.
Or maybe it has been deliberately put in a way that we don't need you. That was not the question. I think question was whether our BJP can handle itself.
Right.
BJP has 11 crore members.
Yes.
Maybe many of them coming from missed calls, but 11 crore members, a huge cadre. Membership right up to the polling agent level and up to booth level, and they exist. Point is whether they work the way the earlier volunteers worked selflessly, or these the new volunteers or cadres are more social media oriented, as I call in one of my articles on my earlier YouTube, as selfie generation, where you do one
Right.
work, put it on the social media, multiply 10 or 100. But yes, RSS has been, doing its own work. For example, in this particular election also, lakhs of meetings are held, small meetings, mohalla meeting, building meetings, requesting people to vote. And that is what it did in 2014 also.
Right.
And it did very good results. The voting percentage increased I think, but the way many people have talked, it seems that some swayamsevaks took it in other way, which was not correct. And maybe some BJP volunteers also felt that they no more need RSS in the local area where they are there. So whether they approached or not, at least I was not approached, though I approached them asking them about the candidate and the plans. So there is something amiss, but it has nothing to do with the interview.
Nothing to do with the interview. Brijesh, that statement, was that blown out of proportion, you think? Or how did it impact on the election in any way?
Well, it was a very strange statement which was made by JP Nadda. And, as Mr. Ratan Sharda is saying, if there was something amiss in the statement or if it was misquoted, I don't think that JP Nadda is not aware of the loaded statement which he has made. Or even if, there's always a corrigendum, you get it published next day when you see that this kind of statement was made. It was not made in some local newspaper where, people didn't see it. It was an interview of JP Nadda and was published in a national daily. So, the BJP not making an attempt to correct or issue an corrigendum post that clearly means that they were pretty that there was no discussion on whether the intent in the import of what was said was in any kind of doubt. And as Mr. Sharda himself said that the reach out or the dependency which was shown in 2014, because at that point of time BJP was still trying to enter into the power. Modi was the catalyst, the big catalyst, which ensured that you got an absolute majority. I think maybe 5, 7, 8 years down the line, people felt that all this power, the charisma of Modi, and people coming and voting on their own. Maybe they don't need that extra mile connectivity, and I think this extra last mile connectivity. Last mile connectivity is something which looks like is the reason why BJP could not get those last mile seats, which would have otherwise gotten them an absolute majority.
That's a very good analogy there. The last mile connectivity, Shardarji, that Brijesh mentioned. The last mile connectivity that the RSS has really come in, in 2014 and in 19. Was that missing this time around? As you said yourself, that maybe there's a section of the cadre who took that interview otherwise, and like Brijesh very rightly pointed out, there was no corrigendum issued in the newspaper.
Right, as I said, that statement could have been a little more fine, with a little more finesse, knowing that how any statement can be taken in a wrong way by sensitive people on either side. What was said, okay, fine. But then I think, as I said, the difference between the old and the new cadre in BJP is huge. In the sense how they look at it. See, old cadre has seen the bad days, it has seen the struggle, it has seen the selfless work. Because I still meet old BJP workers who feel that they have been sidelined, they are not being duly asked for. And the new generation is more aggressive, more bumptious, who has seen only the bright side of the period, and has seen only the highs of the BJP, not the lows. So when the lows come, or when you criticize the newly minted BJP so-called enthusiastic workers, they even troll me. So, difference is that those people have only the good days. They don't realize the hard sacrifice done by it. I'll just recall 2004, when BJP also faced similar kind of a little detached view from the RSS volunteers, because that time Pranab Mahajanji himself felt that BJP can do on its own and doesn't need the crutches of RSS. And that message percolated down, and RSS people sat out, and everybody paid a heavy price.
Yes, absolutely. So the India Shining election, where the BJP said that very famously, and the RSS sat out of that election. Brijesh, 2024 eerie echo of 2004, as Mr. Sharda himself was mentioning.
Well, yes, in a way, absolutely. Because what was happening is, that is the reason I was giving you, from 2014 to 24. Earlier, there were people who have seen, I completely agree with Mr. Sharda, he says that people have seen both sides, the bad times when they were in perpetual opposition, being lampooned for decades and all. And then, all of a sudden, you have for 10 years, you have not only a government, but government with absolute majority. It gives you a heady high, which only people who are experiencing can
and
tell.
Win after win.
Win after win, absolutely. Win after win with absolute majority. So I think, there is also a degree of smugness, with which when you talk to people like Mr. Sharda himself or other, old RSS leaders and all, and you try to understand, like about the fabled, the mobilization, the Palna Pramukh, and, talking to those small areas and ensuring that people go out and vote. I think, somehow there was also too much dependence on the charisma of Prime Minister.
Yes.
You know, it was like, you know, whether it is a Mohalla clinic now, you
Yes.
are fighting on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's face.
Right.
There's a state
He's the only
election.
candidate.
He is the only
Yeah.
candidate. And
Right.
you know, this, you know, you cannot have one person being face of every single election.
Right.
And you know, you require that, okay, when things are going good for you, you might not need some person, but at least you should be a good student of history. You know, you should know that, you know, only who, I mean, you repent in leisure. Now
Yes.
you BJP 30 short. I mean, you know, if you look at the face of Prime Minister today when he was doing this NDA meeting,
He didn't look very happy.
It
Yes.
didn't look very happy. You know, you
Yes.
can say whatever you want to or whatever, but the fact is that, you know, after witnessing an absolute majority
Yes.
from 2002 onwards to this situation, I think, you know, and JP Nadda's statement, and, you know, honestly speaking, if you ask me, JP Nadda is the party president, but
Yes.
JP Nadda doesn't exercise or enjoys the clout
Right.
which usually Amit Shah did when he was the party president.
Yes.
You know, for JP Nadda to make a statement like
Yes.
this, I think, you know, there is more than what many people are reading.
And for
it
him
is
to
not
make the
that JP
statement
Nadda
and it
out
goes
of his
uncorrected.
own,
Yes.
JP Nadda on his own
Yes.
making that statement, I honestly, like, you know, I refuse to believe it.
Right.
Because I have covered BJP for a long time.
Yes.
I have seen what JP Nadda says, and I honestly don't see JP Nadda making that statement on his own. Otherwise, there would have been serious repercussions.
More than meets the eye, Mr. Sharda, but you know, what now in 2024? What is the kind of course correction that the RSS would like to see within the BJP? Would you see the RSS getting a bigger say, a greater say now, you know, in the next 5 years of this government?
Well, Sandeep, I would put it another way. For example, in Himachal Pradesh, you saw 30%. I pointed out earlier also, and I have also pointed out the issues I have just talked about now earlier with people, that there is sense of arrogance in people who have just seen power. Look at some of the spokesperson
Right.
talking very arrogantly, talking to others, and also look at Himachal Pradesh.
Yes.
30% rebellion, never in the history of any election for any party,
Yes.
and they lost heavily. After that, this election, 25% around that seats given to defectors, given to people who joined party recently
Yes.
at the cost of local leaders.
Right.
So it is not just RS, local BJP also leaders were unhappy. They were also quite taken aback that years of work have not been rewarded, and
Right.
we have people
Yes.
who abuse them, who actually criticize them. Also, people like RSS ki Sajish fame, Prashankar Singh, etc.,
Yes.
who never regretted what they said, they got tickets. So naturally, there is also this unhappiness within our BJP cadre. So it is not just question of RSS. Now coming to what course correction, I have in a forthcoming article, I've talked about.
Right.
See, BJP has always refreshed itself, taken new steps to come out of any bad hole. For example, what happened after 1984,
yes,
or
84 and
2004, from 2004 to 2014, hard work and reconnecting, reinventing. At that time, Advani ji, when he took back the command of BJP after loss, he went to RSS asking for more support, asking for more pracharaks.
Right.
So now I am not against pracharaks. I am saying within the organization, BJP will have to look at the people who actually deliver, look at the people who actually work, go back to workers, talk to them, understand where the weakness has happened, why there is kind of non-communication within organization when people from the ground either did not know, did not visit the ground, or they did not convey to the leadership that what is brewing in the local level where SC have been, disenchanted with wrong, fake news, or where sections of society is, left BJP fold and voted for other parties or ready to vote for other parties. These things happen at the street level. When you send a wrong fake news about SC, ST reservation being scrapped and local cadre doesn't give the feedback, then either local cadre is not on the ground, or if they are ground, they're afraid to share the feedback. So those are the things that BJP will need to correct. They'll have to see who actually is working and also take back into confidence the cadre that already has worked for years together. New people should come, but they should not be honored over and above the people who have already known the lanes and by-lanes. I know the person in my locality who did not get the electoral roll till the day of the election. At the end of the election day, no, RS has nothing to do with it. And if I am not approached to work, how will I work? Absolutely. If I seek information and ask them to tell me so I can support somewhere with my own leadership in the area and nobody approaches me, these are the difficult areas.
Yes.
RSS is doing its job. RSS is not a BJP's volunteer organization. That should be very clear from day one. Right. And earlier, because BJP was weak and everybody thought it's very close kind of organization, people happily worked out of their pocket, out of their time, etc. Like no more required because BJP has its own membership, its own cadre. But whether it has been trained, whether it has been repurposed, whether it has been told about the history and knowledge of the BJP's work, that I'm not very sure because I'm very sure a lot of the people don't even know the philosophy of BJP. They do not know integral humanism. For example, when the 370 article was nullified,
yes,
we were asked to come and explain this to the BJP people and their supporters. And I went to about 3 meetings, and the response I got was, "हमें तो पता ही नहीं था." So very definitely BJP cadre needs to be repurposed, told about the BJP's history so they know what party, what kind of strong party and organization, and based on the sacrifice of large number of pracharaks and workers, they are coming to, and it's fortunate for them to be in a party which has been wedded to the nation for a long time.
Yes.
And when that comes through, you will find them doing much better.
Yeah, Shardaji, so, quick question to you before I move to Brijesh is that, how do you explain the loss in Ayodhya? I mean, this is an issue that was so core to both the BJP and the RSS. In fact, the BJP grew only because of the Ram Mandir movement. How do you explain this defeat over there, when the temple is up and almost complete? How do you analyze this? What went wrong there? Was it again this disconnect between the RSS and the BJP that you couldn't get the feedback from the ground?
Sandeep, I would be equally surprised at the defeat of Smriti Irani, for example.
Yes.
So, to put it very bluntly, the major cause of defeat or loss at very low margins, etc., is due to heavy polarization engineered by Congress and its people.
Right.
For example, 85 to 90% votes of Muslims have gone to a particular party. Imagine the irony in Mumbai where Shiv Sena is supposed to be protectors of Hindus and one who was blamed for 1993 situation.
Yes.
Those people are voting for Shiv Sena. So this very clear-cut directions given to this community through various means, and you can see videos on the internet being directed directly in your area, who is the candidate, what is the symbol, because there are too many symbols. On the other side, disconnecting and dividing the Hindu society. So there is some Rajput pride issue, there is SC/ST issue. In Gujarat, the only seat won by Congress is the Sabarkanta's north Gujarat, which is tribal area, where the SC/ST reservation echoed and BJP could not respond that it is fake news. And from there to the belt right up to south of Rajasthan,
yes,
those seats have gone out of BJP's hands. Its SC/ST MPs, the largest group, have gone to nearly half. On Ayodhya also, I have no direct answer, but it is possible that the corruption in the land is there when Ayodhya became big,
yes,
which people kept on complaining, disruption of life. But I am told Ayodhya city itself has elected given majority to that particular candidate. The area surrounding that, there BJP has lost.
Right.
So this polarization is very important. Kind of comfort that that the volunteers felt that riding on Modi ji's shoulders, they only need to put selfies and write wonderful words and wonderful posters on social media. That is all they need to do.
Right.
And I have been cautioning them time and again that do not believe that you will do everything riding on the shoulders of Mr. Modi.
Yes.
Modi ji has done wonderful work, but something on the ground cannot be replaced.
Yes.
Social media is not real life.
Absolutely.
So once they understand this,
right,
then you will find the difference, because social media warriors have never won an election unless they are connected to the ground.
Absolutely. Yeah, very important observations there, Mr. Shardaba. Thank you so much. I'm afraid we're completely out of time for this segment, but thank you so much for joining us and illuminating that very big issue there, the rift between the RSS and the BJP. Thanks very much, Brijesh.